Nuno, the manager here at Triumph Algarve, knows very well that as much as I like my 2024 Tiger 900, I miss my 2021 Speed Twin 1200 that I'd pretty much tweaked to perfection, and he enjoys tantalising me with all the new models that they get in the showroom. This week they were supposed to be receiving the new Speed Triple RX, but instead it's the revised for 2025 Speed Twin RS that's turned up. Problem is, it's only here for a couple of days before it has to go back to Lisbon, so I dropped everything and dashed down this morning. It was at the back of the showroom, but Nuno was kind enough to push it out onto the forecourt so that I could have a good poke around and take these shots. Now, I made a video back in September last year when it was first announced on all the updates for 2025, so I'll link to that in the description if you want more details. But in a nutshell, there are now two distinct models, the Standard and this RS. Feel free to pause the video here if you like, but compared to the base model, the RS gets better Marzocchi forks, Öhlins rear shocks, a sport ride mode, upgraded brakes, a quick shifter, and a tighter rider triangle because of the need to tuck the pegs up out of the way of said quick shifter. And to be honest, this is the change I was most worried about, as at 6'2" or 1.87 m, I already found my 2021 a bit on the cramped side. But I have to say that at least from sitting on this RS, I didn't really feel that my legs were that tucked up. In fact, if I hadn't known that the riding position had been altered over last year's model, I probably wouldn't have noticed any difference at all. Unfortunately, sitting was all I could do, hence the brevity of this video. The bike was factory fresh, meaning no fluids, no battery, and as you can see, no number plate, so I couldn't even start the engine to let you hear the sound, let alone take the bike for a spin. Pity, but it's going back to be sold as a brand new bike, so I do understand. Lisbon might get all the good bikes, but we get the sun. Other than that, the bike looks and feels very familiar to me. Superb finish and attention to detail, glistening paintwork, nice Alcantara seat, although I'd be concerned this might get polished over time with the constant rubbing of rough riding jeans, and then it wouldn't look nearly as premium. The only part that's conspicuous by its absence, of course, are the exquisite analog clocks of the old bike. Now, I swapped out the dials on mine for a more discreet design, but even the standard clocks at the top in this photo was just so much sweeter looking than what you get now, the LCD/TFT clock from the Trident 660. Now in isolation it's actually perfectly okay. Legible, except for reflections in bright sunshine, all the information you could possibly need, and with enough electronics to control things like cornering ABS and cruise control. And that part's very commendable, but Triumph, you're using parts from your cheapest model, except the 400s, to equip one of your premium bikes, and that's what's ruffled feathers. It just looks at odds with the rest of the bike. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Triumph needs to urgently overhaul their dashes, hardware and software, because as things stand at the moment, they're letting the side down. That said, apart from the functional but ordinary looking clock, this Speed Twin is absolutely stunning. I'd love to ride one, but I already know what the engine's like. I used to compare the torque rush to biting into a juicy steak, and there's an extra few horsepower on top with this new model, so I have no doubt that it's going to feel very fast. The brakes are the same Brembo styling as on my Tiger 900, and they are beyond reproach, so no worries there. Personally, I'd probably go for the base model for the slightly more relaxed riding position, more general purpose tyres, and although I haven't tried it, the quick shifter on the RS I suspect won't be the smoothest out there, plus I'd be saving about €2,300 here in Portugal, which would pay for a few nice accessories like the comfort seat and rear cowl, which I think looks superb in this white paint scheme, which isn't offered on the RS. Anyway, only a brief overview and walk around unfortunately, but any excuse for making a Speed Twin video. I'd love to know if you've ridden or perhaps even bought this new model and what your thoughts are down in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.